Yo, what up guys, it's Flark, and welcome to my Shadowlands Season 4 Melee DPS Star Rating Review, where I go over every Melee DPS spec in the game, and I give it a star rating from 1 to 5, to give you guys a visual representation of what I think are going to be the best Melee specs this season. So I'm going to do this with ranged DPS and healers, of course, as well, as promised. So if you like it, just leave a comment below. If there's anything missing from it, if you think this is a good or bad idea, just let me know, and I'll just keep trying to give you guys interesting stuff. But let's get right into it with Arms Warrior, 4 stars. Arms Warrior is Warrior, so it's good. It's still got a big Mortal Strike. It's still got Sharpened Blade. It's still got a lot of defensive utility. Intervene's been nerfed, but it's still great. Parry is a great button to press with that. You got Big Rally, you got Fear, you got Big Burst, you got huge Mortal Strikes. You've got a lot of tools. It's been nerfed over the course of the season, and Fury has been buffed over the course of the season, which kind of made Fury overshadow it. I think it's certainly not as bad as everyone thinks because there's so many Fury warriors. It's just the warrior players are playing Fury. But still a great spec. Actually, a few people got it to pretty much the top of the ladder. Like we're talking top 5 spots last season, one of my friends even. But yeah, 4-star spec. If not just because Fury is everything that Arms is and a little bit more for most people because of the ease of play. Spoiler alert. But Fury Warrior, 5 stars. 5-star Fury Warrior. I mean, this spec is everywhere, and they didn't change it at all. It got the exact same, if not buffed, going into Season 4 because most of its healing scales with health pools, and the only thing we're really getting out of Season 4 is increased health pools because you get more stamina on your gear relative to the secondary stats. No new double legendaries, you can't run triple legendaries, you can't get a 6 set. There's nothing in the game making damage even higher outside of just secondary stats, and stamina outweighs that. So Fury will actually be able to stay on you harder and heal for more, making it even more disruptive than it was last season. And if you played last season, then the words that I just said struck fear and terror into your heart. Because Fury being even more oppressive, well, that's not really what you want to hear. So 5-star spec, holy cow. I mean, that would be, if I was giving out 6 stars, that would be the one. Let's put up a little 6-star note up there. Just like a little faded 6-star. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Moving right along, we have Demon Hunter at 4 stars. I kind of wanted to give this one 5. DH Boomy is still insane. DH DK should probably still be good. Not too much comp diversity from Demon Hunter, I don't think, and they can be a kill target for sure. You lock them in a stun and they could just die. And that Conduit nerf does matter. I mean, they had 2 spike hits, one from Blade Dance and one from Fell Rush, and if you take one of those and crank it down a lot, then that really does help with that 1-2 punch that they were doing last season to supplement, their sustained damage, especially when played with the Boomy. You pair those 2 big hits up with a Star Surge or 2, and that's the chunk damage that's so hard to deal with because they have so much sustained pressure. They rot you lower and lower, and then they chop the rest of your health pool off with one of those big hits. So nerfing that does hurt them in some way, and they still die in stuns, and not too many people got rank 1 with them last season because, again, just having a few number of comps you can play, I mean, compare those to Fury Warriors, and it's a huge difference. So 4-star spec for Demon Hunter. Might be wrong about that one. Could be 5, but going with my gut, I guess. Next, we have Ret Paladin. 4 stars. Yes, that's a shocker, right? Ret Paladin has been so destructive all expansion, but hear me out. First, of course, they nerfed wings. They nerfed 5% of the damage done by wings and 5% of the crits. That's more than 5% overall damage loss during wings. That's more like 8%, right? And that's a big deal because they have wings pretty much the entire game with proc wings and long wings and all these wings, and that's an 8% damage nerf to that burst. That's pretty impactful. But also, health pools are going up, like I talked about just a little while ago. And while that benefits Fury, who has a ton of sustain and a ton of healing that's based off of health pools, it doesn't benefit Ret because Ret tries to kill you in a spike go, not really known for sustain damage. We're not pressing Cobra Shot with BM pets over here. This is Ret Pally we're talking about, big chunky hits. And if those hits are a lower percentage of your health pool, right, then that's less likely to kill you. Of course, their damage is still going to be ludicrous, and yes, they do get some secondary stats, but take a look at the gear. It's not as much as you think. I promise, take a look at the gear and what happens to secondary stats when you get fully upgraded versus what happens to stamina when you get fully upgraded. That's a big deal for them, but there's one more big deal for them. Casters. Casters got buffed this season. A lot of them are a lot better. Ellie Shaman, Afflock. Remember when Mage Lock was good last season with double resolve, crazy frost damage, triangle cleave, Ret fell way down in representation. And then once Mage Locks got hella nerfed, Ret was right back there, ready to take over the ladder again. So casters being buffed and the meta getting slower because of those higher health pools and the Afflock buffs and the possibility of a little bit more dampening for the first time all expansion, those all hurt Ret Paladin. So this, I think, is my most crazy take because Ret's been so good, but I also think my most right on the line, definitively accurate take. I think Ret 4 stars maybe could even be lower than that. Finally, maybe we don't have to deal with as much Ret Paladin. I'm hoping. You know what? I'm not even going to say it's going to be lower than that because it's still Ret Paladin. So 4 stars. 4 stars. Next one, Windwalker Monk. 3 stars. Windwalker Monk has some of the most electrifying damage. Again, you can kill them in a half sweep, honestly, with Windwalker Monk. But it is the definition, Webster's definition of the word glass cannon. In the right hands, it's more like a glass nuclear weaponry. I mean, again, give the spec to Chun-Li, the only player able to get rank 1 with it last season, and you've got a Wrecking Ball. But if 10,000 people watch this video, and Chun-Li was one of them, then 9,999 people aren't Chun-Li, and those people might struggle because this thing is glass bones and paper skin. It is so difficult to live. You're going to do your all-in go, and then you're going to be running the entire rest of the game. Please help me. I'm going to die. Please stop. Anything, please feel for me. That's what you're doing as Windwalker, running behind pillars, sprinting away, trying desperately to live as sustained damage classes like, I don't know, Jungle, right, or Unholy Demo. Just chase them around pillars with never-ending damage until they eventually die. So Windwalker, psychotically high burst, psychotically easy to kill. Very difficult spec to play right now in this meta. And they also got a spinning crane kick nerf from PvE that translates over to PvP, so just a little bit less burst there. But yeah, Windwalker, 3-star spec. In the right hands, it's looking like 7 stars. In the wrong hands, it's looking like 0. So 3 stars for me on that one. Now we have Outlaw Rogue, 5 stars. Most Rogue specs should be 5 stars by default. They are Rogue specs. Blind, Sap, Kidney, Gouge, Evasion, Cloak, Vanish, Reset, One Shot. Outlaw has so many tools. Short Blind that doesn't pair with Trinkets. It has, at least it can't double Kidney anymore with the Vanish legendary. That was nerfed. So if before Outlaw was 7.5 stars out of 5, now it's right back down to actually 5 stars. But it should still be insanely good because it's a Rogue spec. And Rogue specs are always insanely good in PvP. Rogue Mage isn't going anywhere. It's certainly worse than it was, but Outlaw Rogue was playing with Demo. Outlaw Rogue was playing with Windwalker. Outlaw Rogue was playing with Survival Hunter. Outlaw Rogue was playing with DK. Outlaw Rogue was not just playing RMP last season. If you saw the end of the season, there was so many high MMR Outlaw comps that just seemed completely ridiculous. Why is Outlaw playing with DK? But yet it worked. So Outlaw, still 5 stars, of course, for all the same reasons it was good last season. It's a little nerfed, but doesn't matter. It's a Rogue. Sub-Rogue, 5 stars. I mean, it's a Rogue spec. Again, it's a Rogue spec. It has Shadow Dance. It has Blind. It has Sap. It has Lockdown. It can CC the entire team. It can kill somebody in a burst go. Higher health pools do hurt Sub. But I'm pretty sure Combust, Shadow Dance goes were killing you like 90% overkill. So having a higher health pool is like, woohoo! Now it's 80% overkill. I mean, it's just so much damage channeled into such a short period of time. Once they've got that triple setup that they're looking for without trinkets, you're not living it because you have 20k health more. I mean, that health pool does matter. It just does not matter with Rogue Mage. And Sub will always have a way to put itself at the tie. I can't remember. This is maybe the only chance that Rogue Mage is a little worse after the continuous nerfs over the course of the expansion and now the higher health pools. But I can't personally remember a time where Rogue was bad the entire season. So I have to go with the odds on this one and say Sub Rogue 5 stars, right? I mean, that's just good odds. So that's my prediction on that one. Next, we have Assassination Rogue, 4 stars. It's a rogue spec, to be sure. But it didn't really get that much attention last season. It doesn't have the same control toolkit as Sub or Outlaw. It's much squishier than Outlaw. And it kind of was reliant on a one-shot that's been nerfed 5 times. And also now the higher health pools do matter with Assass. Because again, it doesn't have the same kind of lockdown as Sub, where it's like, this is overkill. It actually kind of just gets you right to 0 with that crazy like Vendetta, Vanish, Fan. And using Vanish for that means you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage if you don't end up killing. So those higher health pools could end up, and their squishiness could end up just losing them the game more often than not. So it's still a rogue spec, but it might be the only rogue spec here getting a 4-star, an accurate 4-star rating. I really hope that I'm right about that one, because it would be nice to see one of them toned down a little bit. And I think if there was going to be one, it would definitely be Assass. So Assassination Rogue, 4 stars. Survival Hunter, 4 stars. Man, it could be higher. I mean, it's got range damage, it's got stun trap, it can play jungle and S tier comp. 2 people got rank 1 with it last season. It's pretty underplayed, but representation isn't always everything, but sometimes it's a lot. It could be a little squishy. They did nerf Craven. That's a big blow to them. They're redistributing its damage by nerfing the bombs and bringing up the other abilities, but those bombs really were destructive because they were just hucking them at you from across the map. I mean, it's very hard to do. It was kind of like BM. It was doing nonstop damage from a range. So nerfing that does matter. It wasn't much, but it was something. And Survival's it's just an overall good spec, but it's competing with Fury for the overall good spec role. I mean, certainly Jungle is better with a Survival Hunter, but what else is better with a Survival Hunter? Afflock? Nah, I'd play a Warrior with that. You don't want to trap people because it removes all the dots. Fury Warrior just up front, in their face, big damn. The fear doesn't even take off the dots. You fear them, they get rotted to death by Afflock dots, and then the fear breaks like 4 seconds into it. That's brutal, right? Shadow Priest, same thing. Fury Warrior. I mean, I really do think Survival just gets outshined a little bit. Despite being a really powerful spec, it just gets outshined by a very similar spec that can do very similar things. So Survival Hunter, 4 stars, a strong 4 stars, but I just think on representation and comp viability alone, 4 stars. Unholy DK, 5 stars, tentatively. I know there's some people on my channel, this is a DK-focused channel, that are probably going to disagree with me. They see the nerfs, they see how I feel about Frost DK, and they're like, DK sucks, it's terrible. But no, not so fast. The A-Bomb limb nerfs, about 20% damage there, does hurt. But remember, people were just clicking a gateway during limb anyway, or pressing a mobility button or trinket walling. I mean, we have other conduits as Unholy that are insanely good. You could actually slot one of those in and go for a more sustained damage build as Unholy, which actually fits perfectly into this meta. What did I say about this meta? It might slow down. Higher health pools. What do higher health pools do? They benefit DK, right? Death Strike, Spell Warden, Death Pact, Fallen Crusader. Pretty much everything we use to heal is percentage health based. So that means we are going to be tankier. Necrotic Wounds even heals percentage health based, and that's a big heal. I mean, we are going to be tankier. We are going to rot better. We are going to sustain better. Those are all big things. But and the Spell Warden nerf is a problem, but maybe not, because it was already so destructively powerful into casters that with the higher health pools, it'll probably feel about the same. And if it feels about the same and it was so good into casters, well, the fact that there's going to be a lot more casters then heavily benefits Unholy, right? What did I say when I was talking about Ret? I said casters are going to be everywhere, which is going to hurt Ret Paladin. Well, guess what? That helps Unholy. And no amount of Spell Warden doing 25% more than regular instead of 50% is going to change that. Unholy is great into casters, long AMS, Spell Warden, big heals, big self-sustain. Unholy is the perfect answer to that type of meta. So yes, okay. We got an A-Bomb limb nerf and it sucks. And believe me, coming up is going to be my frustration on DK as a class, but Unholy as a spec is probably loving how this season is about to play out. So Unholy, 5 stars. But then Frost DK. 1 star. It's not good at all. It's so bad. Not one person, 0, got rank 1 with that last season, and people tried. Up until the last seconds of the season, they tried and still came up really short. It just was not happening. And guess what? Frost is probably even worse. It's worse than a 0-time rank 1 season. It's worse than that, because what did I say about Ret? Higher health pools mean chunky hits are less likely to kill. Well, who's the king of doing chunky hits and nothing else? Well, that's two-handed Frost DK, right? We do a Limgo with big obliterates and all this stuff all funneled into 1 2-minute go. And if they live that, we lose. Well, guess what? Now they're a lot more likely to live that. And we don't have proc wings. We don't have anything. We are just 2-minute go, hyper predictable. Everybody knows exactly when it's coming. And now their health pools make it even harder for us to land a kill. Frost DK doesn't have a lot going for it at all. It gets no benefit from more secondary stats because we're already DR'd on Mastery, and crit and haste are not good. We have Empower Rune Weapon for haste, and crit we're already critting during Obliteration, during Pillar, and Pillar is the only time where we do damage, so crit does nothing. Frost is easily the worst melee going into Season 4, and the only melee that gets a 1-star rating, and that's where my DK brothers should rejoin with me in anger, because, man, that spec sucks. Feral Druid. 5 stars. 5 stars. It's good. A lot of people got a rank 1 with it last season. It's the crowning power behind jungle. It has sustain. It has immortal strike. It is really hard to kill. It can kite your go around pillars. It can self-heal. It has bear. It has frenzied. It is a tanky spec, and what do I keep talking about? Higher health pools, frenzied regeneration, bada bing, bada boom. Now it's going to be even tankier. And when you have a tanky spec with sustained damage, you really, really struggle into that. Jungle is a monster because of that. It is hard to counter pressure them, but it's easy for them to counter pressure you. Sickle of the Lion on you, and there is nothing you can do. They'll run around a pillar while you're dying to their bleeds. There is a lot of power behind the spec, and it's just going to get better. From the meta shift in Season 4. Anything that's shifting in this season is just benefiting Feral Druids and jungle as a whole. But they can play with a lot of things. They can play Feral Athlock. They can play Feral Demo. They can play Feral Shadow Priest. I mean, this spec is really, really strong because it has the core 3 things you want for a sustained damage meta. Self-healing. Good burst protection. Sustained damage. I mean, that's what you need, and that's what they got. So Feral Druid, easy 5 stars. Easy. Almost as easy as it was to give Fury 5 stars. And then finally, Enhancement Shaman, 5 stars. Easy. Turbo is disgusting. If you guys queued into it, that was a very, very high caliber comp. And it's just getting better for all the reasons Fury is getting better, Enhance is getting better. Self-healing, higher health pools, big sustain, big self-topping abilities. I docked a point from Survival Hunter. I docked a star from Survival Hunter because he could only play that one comp, so I felt it was low comp viability. But that's because Survival Hunter isn't the driving force behind jungle. Feral is. Because you could just put a BM Hunter into jungle, and it would do the same, if not better. I think more people got rank 1 with BM Hunter. Do you see how that works out? If you can switch the spec for a different spec and it becomes the same comp but better, that can't mean it's the driving force behind it. But you cannot switch Turbo out with anything. Enhance is Turbo. Fury is Turbo. Enhance is Turbo right now. I mean, that is Turbo. And it shows, right? It shows. Their toolkit is remarkably powerful when combined with a warrior. They have everything a warrior doesn't have. Ranged kick, short cooldown, Grounding Totem for CC, amazing off heals, amazing self heals, Chain Harvest to top their entire team, massive sustained single target pressure, and some ranged hits to finish people off. You can Elemental Blast somebody for 20k across the map. I mean, Enhance synergizes so perfectly with Fury, and they complement each other so well. They don't DR, they don't have the same toolkit, so they're just complementing each other with like alternating toolkits. You got the Fury Mortal Strike, but then the Enhanced Sustain and the Enhanced Self-Healing. It's Turbo! It's a nightmare to queue into, and I know if you guys have queued into it at all, you realize, hey, I'm dead the entire game. That's fun. No, it's not, but Enhance. Easy 5 stars because of Turbo alone, but you can maybe play like Enhanced Windwalker. You don't need to. Play Turbo, 5 stars. And that's my list. That's my list. What do you guys agree with? Are there any stars that you would dock one or add one? Is there anything that you guys thought was way too high or way too low. I'm really interested. Just type in the comments if there's one that you particularly agree with or don't agree with, and I'll read every single one. I'm really interested to see the discussion about this stuff. But Shadowlands Season 4, here we go. Pour one out for your fallen Frosty K brothers. Peace.